Hello, in this video we're going to talk about how to do a free background check in the state of Pennsylvania. To get started, visit pennsylvaniapublicrecords.org. I'll have a link in the description. You can click on that or just type it into your browser. On the home page you will find multiple databases. These are free public databases available to in the state of Pennsylvania. And in this video I'm going to talk about how you can utilize some of these databases to do everyday types of background checks. So I'm not going to focus specifically on a type of a background check. This is information and databases that the everyday individual has at their fingertips. They can sit down and quickly do some research about an individual, about a company, and give themselves a peace of mind. And I'm going to specifically focus on free databases within the state of Pennsylvania. So let's take a look at these at the databases first, and then I'm going to talk about how to research criminal databases. Criminal information is typically the backbone of pretty much any background check out there, so I'll get to that in a minute or in a few moments. So how to use these public record databases when you're doing pretty much everyday type of background checking in any situation. Let's say you have planned a big remodeling project. You want to maybe remodel you want to put a lot of money maybe into a remodeling project in your house, and you're looking to hire a contractor. So what you can do is you could click on the contractor licenses checkup link, and maybe even also the business records link here. And the contractors, and specifically you just need a business name, and you hit find a specific contractor, and with this will let you know things like, does the business actually exist? Are they actually officially registered with the state? Sometimes they're not. How long have they been paying for the license? Are they late? You know, how organized are they? Sometimes if you're noticing, you know, like the renewal is not happening, there's issues, things like that, you might be looking at maybe an individual that's not very organized. So same thing with like searching a business entity. You can see how long the business has existed for, who the owners are. There's quite a few little details that you want to look at. For instance, how long the business has been active. Are you dealing with somebody that just opened something up a month ago, or have they been in business for 5-10 years now? So just little things like that. One more thing that you could do is you could check court records, and maybe specifically you might want to look at civil lawsuits that have maybe financial implications. Things like maybe a vendor might be suing a business, or the owner of the business. Maybe there's a disgruntled client that's not happy with the work, or maybe there was some shoddy work done and they have taken them to court. So you can find things like that using public databases. And once you go through all that, maybe it'll give you a peace of mind. Maybe you'll catch something and it'll make you reconsider who you give your money to. So that's one thing. Let's get to criminal records. So if you hover over other records, you can click on inmate search. And what we're looking at here is how a criminal record starts. Typically it starts with an arrest. So maybe the sheriff's department or the police or the city police department arrests an individual and charges them with a crime. And so what you have available to you is an arrest record. So a criminal record starts typically with an arrest, and they get charged with a particular crime. So you actually have an opportunity to research that information. Majority of the time, like a local sheriff's department or the city police will be managing these databases. And so in the case of Philadelphia, they have their own database, and all you need is a first name and a last name and a date of birth, and you can research this arrest information. And at the county level, and so we have multiple counties here that you can take a look at. Now, after the arrest happens, they will either post bail. Sometimes they'll get released. Sometimes they'll have to wait in jail before they see a judge. But eventually everybody will have to go see a judge. If they don't show up for court, there's going to be a warrant out for their arrest, and they'll be brought back into jail. And so they will eventually see a judge. That's just the way it works. That just never expires. So pretty much any criminal offense is going to have to go through the court system. So anytime somebody sees a judge, somebody shows up for court, a court document is generated, and court records are considered public record. So unless it's maybe a sensitive situation, maybe there's some ongoing things happening, maybe there's just too much publicity around the case, they might not release it. But in general, majority of the information you can research on the internet for free. And I'm going to show you how it works now. So you have multiple courts within the state, anything from the Supreme Court to the lower level courts. This is the Magisterial District Court. And then you have your municipal courts in the big cities, Common Pleas Court, and you don't really have to worry about the Supreme Court. Typically, anything that doesn't get settled on the lower courts here will get pushed up here, but that's not very many cases. So you're looking at courts that do like felony and lower level crimes, if we are talking about criminal records in particular. Now, when you're doing your background checks, you can also do civil searches, maybe evictions, maybe small claims. Some of these things might be useful depending on why you're doing the background check. I'm just going to be talking about criminal records in this example. But as you can see, you have quite a few things that you can research using the court system. So let's move on to see how the court database actually works. Okay, so you can actually, if you don't have a docket number, what you want to do is just click on the box here, and you can just select participant's name. And so we can research by first name, or actually by last name and first name. And what you want to do is, I believe you have to select the county. So I'm gonna also, under docket type, I'm gonna select criminal because that's what we're looking for. Okay, so it looks like it's going through without me selecting a county. But maybe there's just too many records. Maybe I should have selected a county. Okay, so here we go. But you could narrow it down by selecting a county. I did, I guess, somewhat narrow it down by selecting criminal only. And as you can see, there are so many cases here. It looks like there's just multiple pages of this. So be sure to fill this out as much as you can. If you got a birth date, even better. But you can really cut down on the amount of information you're going to be looking at. So you have a couple of active cases, a couple of closed ones. I think I'm just going to open one of these up here. And if you kind of hover over, there's like a page and a looking glass, a magnifying glass, and you have an option for a docket sheet and a court summary. So we can just open both of these up. And so this is what a docket would look like. And so you have the arresting agency, you have the arresting officer information, date. So this is pretty much the arrest information, what we spoke about earlier. Initiation date, and then you have some dates here, pretty much like a little timeline here going on. Same thing down here, calendar of events. Let's keep going. You have your case participants, you have your bail information, and then of course you have your charges. So there is there's quite a few things here, as you can see. And if I keep going, you have your sentences and penalties information down here. So pretty much anything that you'd like to know is down here. And I'm not exactly sure if this case is closed or if it's still ongoing, but it looks like, yeah, right here you can kind of tell like a minimum of the amount of time that they might have to serve. So you got minimum and then the maximum, so 24. So you could tell pretty much how much time they're going to get if the case is already closed. So I didn't actually see if it was closed or not. So all of this information is here. As you could tell, this is a very detailed record. So you could really look deep into this thing. All the fines, we don't have to go through the whole thing. But if you're doing research, I'm sure you would want to. So, and then there's also a quick court summary page, and whatever we just looked at, this is pretty much just a quick summary of what happened during the trial. So, as you can see, I did not have to use a credit card. I didn't even have to sign up for an account. I just typed the name in, selected criminal docket type, and I'm looking at all the records I want within the state of Pennsylvania. So a great resource, great tool, and it's free. And that's what this video is about, just finding free resources you can use to locate information. Another thing you want to consider is once somebody goes through the trial, they will be either found guilty or not guilty. And if they're found guilty, they might have to pay a bail. They might have to maybe just pay a fine. Sometimes they'll have to serve time. And if they have to serve time, if it's over a year, it's going to be in a prison. If it's under a year, it's going to be at a jail typically. And so the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections actually has a database that you can use. And again, all you need is just a first and a last name. And you can narrow it down. I'm just going to go general here, and quite a few results here. And just going to pick a random person. As you can see, it gives me a file here, identification of the individual, where they're located, and a mugshot. So, and again, for this, I did not have to use a credit card. I didn't have to pay for anything. It's a free database. Another thing not to forget about, since we are talking about criminal information, is to also do, you can also use the sex offender registry, and this is a statewide system as well, and you can research this free of charge also. So just another thing to add to your to-do list if you are doing this particular type of a check. So with that said, there is one more tool you can utilize, and this is the name search on top. Now, this is not a free tool, but it's an awesome tool, so you might be interested in it. So it has public records, court records, property records, criminal records, arrest records, financial information, things like bankruptcies, maybe potential financial lawsuits, private databases, things like cell phone information, previous addresses, things that you might not even be necessarily thinking about. Lots of databases. But it doesn't just pull records from Pennsylvania, it goes outside the state. So it gives you more of like a nationwide look into somebody's background. And it compiles all that information into a single search system. So you can just type a name in, and literally within a matter of moments, you could be looking at records. And so it saves you a lot of time. So it's a time saver. And another thing to consider is, let's say somebody has maybe a criminal past in Michigan or maybe New York, and now they're living in Pennsylvania. If you're just researching in Pennsylvania, you're not necessarily going to see what happened in Michigan or in New York unless you go research those states specifically. But it's so hard to know where people have traveled through, where they lived. And people do move around nowadays, so it's something to consider, and it could be a great resource when it comes to looking people up. So with that said, visit PennsylvaniaPublicRecords.org and get started on your free background check in Pennsylvania. Thank you.